Well, okay then. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today's Yu-Gi-Oh video is going to be my thoughts and review for the last two episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, episode 70 and 71, the duel between Udius and Zion. And I gotta be honest with you guys, these last two episodes combined were really good. I debated on whether I was going to do two separate reviews or if I was just going to review them together, and I decided last week that I was just going to go ahead and review them together because I'll be honest, the first episode in this two-parter on its own really wasn't that special, but when you added this week's episode in on it, which this week's episode, I guess I should say, was leaps and bounds better, and it kind of carried the first of the two episodes over the finish line, but I'm rambling and we'll talk about that soon enough. So at risk of further rambling, let's move on to the actual episodes. So, like I said before, this is the duel between Udius and Zion. Zion, of course, has been turning everybody that runs into him as furniture, and he's trying to restart his furniture store business, and by the end of it, you kind of feel sorry for the poor guy. He got into a dispute with an Earth company that was producing gears for his machinery, and there was nobody else in the universe that could do it the same way, and he's basically come to Earth to avenge his corporation and corporate revenge, I guess you could say. But he ends up coming across Udius in these two rush duel. He threatens, of course, that he's going to turn Udius into a bunk bed if he loses, and yeah, that's... Again, I'm not going to argue that the premise is really weird, but okay. So we move on to the rush duel, and the first part of the rush duel, Zion is really running away with this rush duel. He appears to be on top until we get to the second part of the rush duel, which was this week's episode, when Zion and his Yug Dragon ended up being destroyed by Udius's new Dark Fusion. That's right, Udius had a dark card inserted into his deck. We later learned from, well, I guess we didn't really learn this later, we learned it a little bit ago, but Epoch, the box, has been kind of a spy, and has been slipping these darkness cards into everybody's decks. Whether he works for Otis or he works for somebody else is yet to be seen, but that's what ended up happening to Yuumu. However, Udius is able to control the darkness and keep it at bay long enough to use this card and fuse it with Galactia Oblivion to create Darkness Galactia. And this card's design looks friggin' awesome, by the way. And he ends up using its effect to get over Yug Dragon and end up defeating Zion, who is remorseful for his actions, he regrets them, and he undoes all the damage that he has caused. And that's pretty much the episode, with the conclusion that Udius realizes that the Darkness card that he just fused with is no longer in his deck. And we get one last little zoom in on Epoch before the episode is over, but also we learned that we were afraid, well, we weren't afraid, but Udius and company were afraid that because they were wasting their time on Zion, that they were going to miss out on qualifying for the next round of the Galactic Cup. And it turns out that Zion was in the rush duel as well. He was in the tournament, and because Udius ended up beating him, Udius has moved on to the next round. We did learn that before we zoom in on Epoch. And I think that's everything. Let me double check my notes. Yep, that is everything this time. I apologize for the last two bits of that in the reverse order, but I digress on that. Like I said in the beginning, though, of this video, last week's episode was really just kind of an episode. But this episode was leaps and bounds better. I just loved how Udius was able to overcome darkness, and he fused into an ultimate new fusion monster, and it just carried the day. And that just goes to show that fusion monsters are the original OP. So, yeah, all that being said, this week's episode really carried last week's episode. As a two-parter together, I can confidently say that we can give this an 8 out of 10. If we were just going by episodes alone, this episode would probably get a 7, and last week's would have probably only got a 4 or 5, to be honest with you. But again, those are just my opinions, and as always, I want to hear yours. So in the comments section down below, let me know what your guys' thoughts were about these last 2 episodes. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just there? What were your thoughts? Just let me know in the comments section down below, because as always, I enjoy hearing from you. All right, everyone, as always, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.